but it has recovered quite quickly. And what I'm looking for now is I always look at players' hips in defence, and early on there, I'm picking the. I don't necessarily have a term for this, but my eyes always light up when I see defenders who are about 3 away from the ball turning in already, because that means a good long pass can really screw them up. I'm also looking at spacing in the defensive line. And a lot of the teams I find in the NRL and Super League that really suffer is their spacings are inconsistent and offer too much to the opposition. So there are a couple of things I'm looking for straight away on the early part of this video. There's another thing I've noticed there straight away too. And you might think I'm crazy talking about a team that got to the grand final 14 months later, 15 months later. But I saw how flat-footed that player was in defence. One bit of footwork from the Broncos player, and he was on his heels. And if you look at the spacings here and the hip movement, there's every chance this Broncos attacker will get his nose through the line. Nose through the line means more chance of good play the ball. Good play the ball means more momentum. And if you let the first 2 tackles go, you're in trouble, basically. The collision, I saw chest collision. Now, I'm a fan of shoulder collision as opposed to chest collision. But what I'm looking for now is the role of each player in a tackle. And I'm looking for the target area of the tackle, and that target area was quite high. So if I'm attacking against this team, I'm encouraging my players to get a little bit lower in collision and to put footwork on in collision, because the defenders are showing some poor lateral movement. But also, just by freezing that there, I can see that they're not necessarily conditioned to tackle simultaneously or to go for what I would call a knowledgeable assist, as there's players going for the same part of the body. This third man in looks like he might actually end up tackling his own player rather than the attacker, which is basically what he did. Now, what I've also noticed there, that he went in, he was the last one in, and then he was the first one off, which is quite good. I do feel he could have spent a little bit more time there, though. But what I would be looking for now, I'd be expecting this man here to be squeezing his opponent as much as he can, because he's the one who's basically in control. This fella, number 13, is what I would call the dominant one in the marker area. Not in the tackle, but in the marker area. And he needs to be dictating how quickly these two get off. Ultimately, this player here, his focus has to be on keeping that man from playing the ball as quickly as he can. The unload at marker, as you can see, it's been quite inconsistent. So just straight away from that one clip, thinking if I'm coaching against South Sydney Rabbitohs next week, I'm looking now to see if that is consistent in their game. Because if we land on our front, get a good play the ball, they are going to be inconsistent in this area based on what I have seen in that one clip. So straight away, as I'm analysing it, I've got a branch of thought that I might have to explore. It might never happen again, that every other tackle might be perfect, and then I have to cut that line of exploration off. Ultimately, I found something, and now as somebody analysing video, I'm thinking, is this going to be something we can exploit? I'm only going to do one set. I've paused this again because I've noticed how wide. I assume this is the A defender. If this is not the A defender, then an A defender is going to pop up here. And look at that gap between the markers and that defender. There's something to exploit there. I can see it already. Yes, and somebody else popped up in the screen there. So straight away, I'm thinking that if we get a quick play the ball and tackle one, I keep pointing at the screen as if you can see it. I need to move my mouse, don't I? If we get a quick tackle on tackle one, statistically tackle two is the best. If you're going to go forward, get it on tackle two, and you'll probably get it for the rest of your set. This is an area already that I think we can exploit. Again, what I'm going to do with it, just so that you know that, so you can take more away from this. I'm going to send you the report I did on this. I think, Tom, you're a member of the website, so you will have seen it. But basically, really go into detail on the website. Did you see how number 8 I don't like to use names just in case I've mixed them up. But number 8, he basically sat on his heels and then got stepped. So I'm looking, Souths are notoriously quite a big pack, aren't they? Well, one thing about big players is they tend to be quite poor laterally, so you've got to try and expose that with your attack. You don't have to expose it in the first set, but you have to be aware of it. And I'm looking, and so far I'm seeing poor lateral movement, questionable collision, questionable consistency at ABC. I'm already looking at this and thinking Brisbane have got some momentum. They've got out of their own area quite easily. And I'm thinking I'm finding something that I can work on. It's pretty clear there that the Brisbane attacker picked out one man. And that's because he's number 9, Damien Cook, and he's one of the smaller players. But also, 2, he passes the ball constantly in the game. So the more tired they make him, he might make a poor pass. That could be the difference. Also, what I noticed there, he was a little bit behind the defensive line. I'm seeing inconsistent ruck, inconsistent collision, inconsistent ruck, inconsistent ABC, and that is going to lead to an inconsistent defensive line. You may remember this particular game, the Broncos won it. This was when Anthony Seibold was still a good coach. This is a dog's breakfast. This man should be up here. So just from 4 tackles of South Sydney Rabbitohs, I'm finding something already. That player should be up there. That should be a recreated line. I'm also starting to gradually look to see if there is any joy to be had on edges. And that would happen by looking at this kind of thing towards the end of the set. As you can see, there are stationary players. I'll take you to the NRL Grand Final as an example. This year, the intercept try was not an accident. South, virtually all the game, exited from their own half. They took 3 plays and then shifted to that side. They did that virtually all game. It was a miracle that it took Penrith so long to find that. I can only assume that Ivan Cleary or the attacking coach showed it them at halftime to expose that. It was very readable what South did. And the golden rule is you don't pass long close to the defensive line, and that's what Cody Walker did. What I can also see on this clip here is a defensive split. I can start counting the numbers. So they've got 4 defenders here. We'll assume they've got a 5th defender hanging back. It's roughly the middle of the field, so their defensive split is quite consistent. That said, with good attacking shape, there will be opportunity to attack and make more meters. So they're the kind of things I'm looking for in defence.